wrestling fans, from body slams to high-flying plans. Join the chat, hear the scoops, jump in quick, don't be a stoop. We're throwing down in every match, with tales and fights that you can't catch. The Marks Podcast is the place to be, for every wrestling mystery.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tony Chimmel, the GOAT of ring announcers. And you're listening to the Marks Podcast on YouTube.
It's like he never fucking left.
Well, you know, what I got to say first, to even start, I think saying thank you to him for last week would be a good way to start. And I can't wait for him to come on again.
And thank you, wife, for making that badass fucking intro. That was fucking gorgeous. Loved it.
Thank you.
As y'all can see, we are one man short. We believe Jacob is in the toilet. He should be here at any point, but it's one of those. It's gonna be a two-man job. So, you know, we wish him a speedy return. He should be here at any moment. I'm Dan, the Flying Jalapeno, joined by the inside man, Gerard Millette. And fuck, it's like every time we think wrestling slowing down, some new shit happens.
It's that time. Hey, you know, it's called the silly season.
Well, let me ask you this. What's silly about Corey Graves getting fucked in his announcer gig?
Well, but this, you know, you're going to pay Pat McAfee that kind of money. You got to have him do something. Wade Barrett, Booker T, you're paying him that kind of money. Sorry for Corey Graves, but you know what? When you get to the low end of the totem pole, you know.
I get it, but you can't tell me that Graves hasn't put in the fucking work, man. He's been killing it.
I get it. But they took away the three-man desk, though. That's the problem.
Well, not only that, but SmackDown's got fucking that Irish cat and Wade. You can't tell me that Corey can't work SmackDown?
Irish cat? I thought they got that guy from ESPN.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
Okay.
you're going to tell me that ESPN guy's better than having Corey Graves, who's a staple talent?
See, the problem is this, okay? You can't have Corey and Wade together because, you know, you got your color commentator and then you got your broadcast journalist.
I know, I get that, but they have had them there before whenever they were going through their revolving door of fucking people on SmackDown, and they worked well.
Yeah, because my thing is on this, okay? Do Wade Barrett and Pat McAfee come across better than Corey Graves?
That's a good question.
And
Producer in the back, I need your opinion. Can't hear you.
The second part of that question is, Dan, if Corey Graves' wife was on the active roster right now working, would he be going through this?
I don't know. My wife can't stand Corey Graves, so I wanted the outside opinion.
What?
You know about the ongoing situation with Corey Graves and basically getting the boot on commentary on both the big shows, basically being relegated to NXT.
Yes.
What do you think?
No, I think he got the shot. I don't like him. I'm not a fan of him at all, but he's good at what he does. He's easy on the eyes. He has a background in the freaking sport. And it seems, I know the Pat McAfee thing is, I mean, that man's something. He's on a whole other level. But I think that Corey Graves got the shot. I think he deserved better than that. I think that he should have just been unceremoniously also removed from his duties after he posted a tweet complaining about it. Like, I don't like him. I don't think he got the raw end.
Well, like I just said to him, I don't know if you heard me say, if Carmella was still working and not,
she's still under contract, but she's got.
No, but I'm saying if she was an active roster role right now, okay, would his problem be different right now?
Well, that was a message from Jacob. Clearly, he's two-handing that job. We got a surprise for you when you get here.
And
too,
apparently,
Jacob.
he agrees with Gerard. So
Just wash your hands.
We got a surprise for you when you get here, Jacob.
I think he deserved better. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and she doesn't even like Corey Graves.
I hate him. He's a douche canoe, but
yeah, absolutely. That's the but look. You're saying he's better.
I can't say that one because I can't say he's better. He just has a higher profile.
I'm just saying. Okay, so let's take it back to Heenan and Monsoon, right? I love Heenan and Monsoon, one of the greatest duos of all time, right?
Why did Heenan get over? Because of Jesse Ventura walked away.
Okay, that's fine. That's what I'm saying, though. But they decide, okay, so ESPN's a big deal back then too. We're going to bring in the best ESPN commentator, and they're just going to roll over and take Bobby Heenan's spot.
But
I'm not comparing Graves to Heenan, just to be fair.
I'm just saying it's one of those things to wear. Okay, he's the odd man out. Listen, when Pat McAfee's gone, he better stop his complaining now, because when Pat McAfee's gone, he might be gone too.
Now, if he has any balls whatsoever, he won't stick around and wait for McAfee to be booted out the door.
McAfee would just be gone
there forever. He only does he does seasonal work for WWE.
Yeah,
he has
right.
So if Corey Graves is smart, listen, if he's under contract and stuff like that, and where's he going to go? Is he going to go take Excalibur's spot? No. Is he going to take Taz's spot? No. Is he going to take Tony Schiavone's spot? Yeah, okay.
Well, Schiavone's in shit too, because you saw what he said to that guy from New Japan. Basically told him, wash your ass. Go fuck yourself.
But here's the thing. Tony Schiavone, I think, thinks he's so in with Tony Khan, he has a job for life. Because remember, not only is he a color commentator now, I mean, no, Tony Schiavone now comes across as a broadcast journalist, no longer the color commentator. Because the color commentator's role is for Excalibur, who I swear just loves to hear himself talk.
I like Excalibur, though. I think
I don't think he brings anything to the product. I don't think he does.
I think he's very versed, and he's literally the voice of Collision. I'm sorry, of Dynamite.
I just don't think he brings enough to the product to where I got to stay to listen to him. He's not Lawler. He's not JR. He's definitely not Gorilla, not Bobby Heenan.
Well, but to be fair, can we look? I will go down and say that Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross by far are some of the greatest commentators of all time. There's no denying that. But I think that age is done. And I think that, again, I'm not saying I'm the biggest Corey Graves fan. I loved him as a wrestler. I loved his Lucky 13 finisher submission move back in the day. I really enjoyed Corey Graves' work. But when he, it's heartbreaking to see a guy who literally had to retire from his dream job because of concussions. Look, it happens. I get it. Daniel Bryan was one of the perfect examples of that back in the day. But he worked his ass off to get where he's at. And for that to say, oh, nope, you're not popular enough. Get the fuck out.
Let me ask you, if it's costing him a dime, I understand it. If it's not costing him a penny, go with the flow.
Okay,
right?
Hold on. Your mentor got very upset when he thought he was taking off, not just about money, but that he was removed from shows. It bothered him.
Now, to be fair about that, he walked out because they told him, hey, you're no longer being an announcer. He walked out. They called him back. What are you doing? Well, you told me I'm doing this no more. You're not losing one penny. He didn't lose one penny.
He's not even here and he's giving me shit.
I think he's doing better than.
Hurry the fuck up, Jacob.
But I'm saying is though, in a case like that, he didn't lose one penny. If Corey Graves ain't losing a penny, what's he? You know what? This is the time to step up and say, "Hey,
you sound a lot like an AEW wrestler right now." In the beginning.
No, listen. What I'm saying is,
I don't have to work and get paid. I'm going to do this, even though I love my craft. Right?
Maybe it's his time to step up and see if, hey, do you guys need a road agent? Do you need another producer, something like that? Try and do something where he can maybe get behind the scenes. So instead of just being on the mic, he's doing something else. Maybe he can find another position doing something else to where, you know what? I was meant more to do this. And I'll give you a perfect example of that is, whoever thought Michael P.S. Hayes would have turned into the producer he turned into?
But if he truly loves just announcing, and he's done it all these years, carrying his back through COVID, basically been the face of it, right? Until McAfee comes along, and you get unceremoniously booted out the door. Thanks for your service. we're going to replace you with this guy. How does he not have his pride hurt? How does he not want to know? You know, see what I'm saying? Like, it's
Oh, no, I get it. I'm just saying
it hurt his feelings, but it's a disloyalty and it's a slap in the face.
Have something to bide your time to where you know Pat McAfee's going away. You know he's going to go.
Okay. Do you know who else they did dirty that they just gave the boot to? Tony Chimmel.
Well, they didn't just give it to him. They gave him to him 4 years ago. But
what I'm saying is Tony is the fucking was the voice of SmackDown. Corey has earned it.
To be fair, they let Justin Roberts go too.
Yeah, but Justin Roberts sucks.
Well, no, he's the dapper yapper.
Okay, whatever. But
I guarantee you, he's never touched a piece of the ring either.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm saying, a guy like Tony Chimmel. What's up, Tony? Hope you're watching. Enjoy your game. Anyway, but a guy like fucking Tony, who busted his ass all those years, put up the ring with you, drove the piece of shit truck and almost killed everybody with it. You know, did the 316 cage setup, all of that with you guys, put in his stripes, got lucky one day. You got a suit, kid, you got a tie, put that shit on, you're our new announcer. You know, and after fucking almost 40 years, well, COVID's here. We'll find someone to do your job for cheaper.
And, you know, and like I've said, and that's where I've come before and I said,
after 40 years, baby, computer takes your job.
And I've talked to him before about it, and you guys hopefully understand it. It's why professional wrestling has long overdue. Thank you, Jesse Ventura. I hope you can bring it up again. It's long overdue to be unionized.
You're going to get us kicked the fuck off. They're going to blacklist us.
No, think about it. If they're gonna continue to talk about maybe they might be the fifth sport, become unionized.
They're not going to do that because
mind you can be unionized like Major League Baseball to where everybody makes different money.
This goes back to the bigger argument, right? Is professional wrestling legitimately a sport?
Okay, they make them all SAG actors. Put them all part of SAG.
Well, is there enough athleticism in it that they get paid double payment for being actors as well as stuntmen?
That's what I'm saying. There's enough there to it. Okay, either you can be a professional athlete union or a SAG, because there's a couple wrestlers who are SAG union members, card carrying card. Okay, and what that does gives them insurance and stuff like that. But like I said, Major League Baseball, they claim they're a union. How many guys make the same money? Everybody makes a different wage. But they all come together to fight for rights. But you know what? I'm getting paid more money than you no matter what.
Well, we can thank Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Hulk Hogan for that.
Well, but that's the thing, though. There should be a wage scale as long as and with a union part of it. Think about it.
Okay, so I've also thought about this. Some people say that the guy at the top of the card should always be making more money. I agree with you 100%. Who's ever getting over? But I also think it should be the guy that organically got over, not the guy that the company's trying to ram up my ass.
Or the guy who's doing more merch sales, regardless of their position on the fucking card.
Like I'll say this one, okay? So right now, as we know, last week Penta became the number one merchandise mover. Okay, number one right now. He's number one. So if he's number one in merchandise moving, and he went ahead, now it's probably going to be brief. Should he get the top spot automatically because he's number one in merchandise? No,
but I also
but go back and look at Bray Wyatt. How long was Bray selling, even though he wasn't on screen? How much money he put in their pockets?
As well as his own pocket.
And I would be remiss not to say we're coming up on an anniversary, and it really hits me hard because these two guys were like very influential to me in wrestling and really got me back into loving wrestling for what it was. But Jay Briscoe, rest in peace. God, just what a waste, what a loss. My wife posted something on Twitter. Just go ahead. Sorry.
I'm glad you bring up anniversaries. On this date, Bruno Sammartino lost his first title to Ivan Koloff. Today in 1971.
Couldn't happen to a better guy.
So he held it for over 8,000 days. and they had him lose it, so Ivan Koloff could take it and lose it. I think it was to Pedro Morales or something like that. But and then also, just so you people out there, today on this date,
I see clearly. Huh?
Stone Cold Steve Austin won his first Royal Rumble in 1998.
Are we talking about the actual victory or the tainted victory?
No, the one in the Royal Rumble where he was like doing the thing with the watch. The first one he won, where he went on to fight Shawn Michaels. Because at that Royal Rumble,
that was not that one. The one in '97 that he won.
Oh, no, but the one in 1998, January '98, Mike Tyson was there up in the thing because the next night on Raw, and also at that specific Royal Rumble, it was when Shawn Michaels broke his back because he hit the corner of the casket. So and I read something today too. Pistol Pete Watley died of a heart attack, and it's also today is Dave Batista's birthday.
Jesus, man. And Batista's looking a little rough right now. I'm sorry. He's looking a little I know he's lost weight, but his age is finally showing like a month.
56 years old.
He's looking like grandma. He's looking like grandma.
56 years old. And that's what happens when you're not constantly performing anymore. I mean, other than if your name is the genetic jackhammer known as The Rock, but
she doesn't like The Rock anymore. She used to love The Rock, but she's not a fan of The Rock anymore.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like, I once heard what he ate he once put out what he ate in a day, and he had like 10 pieces of cod a day. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
He's done well for himself. He's looking pretty good. I just, he really lives the gimmick, the Hollywood Rock gimmick. And,
You know what's sad is? He walks into an arena. He can either be booed or cheered, either or. But what he does outside that arena for publicity, you cannot take that away from what he did in London when he walked into a toy store and gave everybody a 100-pound note for that toy store. How do you
I get that, but what about Lahaina?
Who?
The Hawaiian stuff, him and Oprah.
Listen, what he does is he an ambassador? Now, my thing is, he's not an ambassador for professional wrestling.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is okay, so you give, in one breath, you're giving all these kids $100 for toys, and another breath, you're trying to fucking. It comes off very fucking fugazi. Him and Oprah.
Oh yeah, well, fugazi. I understand, but
I see you over there with your macho hands.
No, listen.
Oh yeah, brother. Yeah.
Listen, there's only a certain amount of wolves in the business. Because a Matthew McConaughey line, I understand. But what people do to go back to maybe the way Hogan was treated last week, how you work the crowd outside the business, and how you work him in. There's a line you got to make sure of, depending on where you want to be. I still believe he should have came out as Hollywood Hogan, and I think he would have got roared if he come out as Hollywood Hogan. I don't
believe that. I think so when it comes, we talked about it before we came live. When you are a celebrity of the caliber of Hulk Hogan, when you are basically the face of fucking wrestling, when you're preaching, say your prayers, take your vitamins, all that other jazz. You need to look. You were gifted something. You were gifted so much fame that children looked up to you, that men wanted to be like you, that people were trying to rock the skullet for some stupid fucking reason.
And whole industry is around because of you.
Yes, an entire fucking company was carried on your back.
No, not just a company, an industry.
What I'm saying, you were wrestling. I know we have Mr. Wrestling 1, 2, and 3, but you were Mr. fucking Wrestling. You have to live a life where. Well, that's what I'm saying. You have to live a life knowing that at any time you're being recorded.
Yep.
That is the trade-off. I'm sorry. You were gifted this. You made the choice to do this. And my big issue with Hulk Hogan is this. I don't know Terry personally. I'm not going to sit here and lie. If he were to show up, I would gladly have a conversation with him. I would ask him the real questions that nobody wants to ask him. Like, fuck, Tony Chimmel. Everybody was Jacob was starstruck. I talked to Tony Chimmel like he's a human being. Motherfucker puts on his underwear just like I do. Fuck that. But I would talk to Hulk Hogan and say, look.
I don't think he wears them, though.
The fact that you know that about him terrifies me. The fact that you know that about but the fact is, I would ask him. I was like, "Look, why did you do this? Why did you, go back to 1997, Starrcade 97? Why did you do that to Sting? Why did you take a year plus of fucking work and flush it down the toilet because you decided to get Nick Patrick to go instead of going?"
Hey, here's a question for you. What if Cena had said the same thing?
He did, and the people fucking hated his guts during the Nexus feud.
No, if he had dropped the N-bomb. If he had dropped something like that in a drunken rant.
Are you talking about the same exact context?
Yep.
Absolutely. You're a okay.
No. Not only is he an ambassador for wrestling. Look at what he's done for Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
Hogan was that guy. Hogan was the guy before Cena for Make-A-Wish.
Exactly. I mean, you could say Steve Austin, but Steve Austin never pretended like he was something. Like Arn Anderson once said, "We're not good guys. We don't wear white hats." Steve Austin was the embodiment of that.
Yep.
John Cena became this generation's Hulk Hogan. Whether anybody wants to admit that or not, it's the truth. It is. You can't take that away. So if John Cena's caught, in the back getting drunk with his buddy who's a piece of shit, yeah, Bubba, you're a piece of shit, Bubba the Love Sponge. There's a camera there. You need to always assume that you're being recorded, and you're dropping N-bombs about your daughter, your precious fucking daughter, who you fucking like. And that relationship's all fucking weird. And look, not my place, but whatever. You drop a fucking N-bomb, and the way he did it, like it wasn't just that he said, he wasn't doing do-rag Vince, right?
Right.
He fucking straight up said, "I don't want my daughters being touched by,
Yeah.
And then you expect people to just go, "Well, they recorded me illegally." No, fuck you. The fact that kind of verbiage is in your lexicon, the fact that is you as a human being, that you thought nobody was recording you, so you thought you were safe, and it's not like this is the first time you said it. You could tell by the way that went down. This is something you talked about before. That you have broken the fourth wall. I compare it to the curtain call. Wrestling was one thing. The curtain call happens. Now we see behind the fucking velvet rope. Well,
I told you, curtain call broke kayfabe. It broke.
Which is the worst thing in the world. I'm sorry. When I was younger, I was all supportive. Yeah, I want to know what's behind the velvet rope. It's okay not to. It really is.
Listen.
And then this is what really gets me. The complete trying to be oblivious to the fact that, no, it's because I'm a Republican. I'm a Republican. You know who else is a Republican? Who had Donald Trump on his fucking podcast? Mark Calloway. Oh, I'm sorry. The Undertaker. They didn't boo him. Either they really love Rhea Ripley's butt cheeks or they fucking really love The Undertaker. One of the two, but they were clapping for somebody.
Yeah. They were clapping for the clap.
But that's what I'm saying. He's trying to play it off. Look, you got your sponsorship. WWE is in a deal with Real American Beer. Cool. Let them sell your beer. Sit your fucking ass at home and just collect your paycheck.
We'll find out. Listen, next Saturday night, we're going to find out.
He needs to sit at home and accept his fate. He did this to himself.
He comes out on the show next Saturday night, and he gets booed again. Okay?
He's not. They're not going to put him back on.
You might not ever see him again. But the problem with Hogan is this, and, it's sad for him. He does have other entities, okay, other than being around the wrestling business. He has his restaurants. He has his shops.
Which, fuck those shops. They started charging me $40. You knew this was coming. Fuck that shop. I was just walking with photos, yeah. I walked around the shop and I bought one piece of merch we got, an Andre the Giant t-shirt. Fuck that fucking shop. $40 to stare at the ring.
Hey, shut your echo mic off.
I'm just being loud.
Oh, there you go. All right. No, but and to do that, and now it's funny. We go on to Corey Graves, and we get to the other stuff, and that's not even the best of what happened this week. Think about it. Think of all the other stuff that happened this week.
Talking about total nonstop action, tits and ass wrestling.
TNA and WWE are back.
WWE has signed a deal with tits and ass.
And what it can work with the TNA.
They just got a high-profile developmental territory. That's all they've done, which is brilliant.
Hey, you have an echo.
It's because she's hearing my mic. I need to come in here and start talking like this.
Oh, okay. But the deal that they got going, I hope it can end up being beneficial for both of them.
It won't.
And we'll know we'll know in 2 weeks how beneficial it can be right off the bat. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not going to like it if I see any TNA personality take a spot at WrestleMania.
Why?
Because I think the guys and girls that you have in WWE right now who've been there for the past year, to me, it's like the Oscars. You actually have to be there the whole year to be considered for one. And to me, somebody who comes in now who hasn't been here, like right now, I know it's going to happen, but I don't think it should. I don't think Charlotte Flair deserves to be in WrestleMania this year.
I disagree.
And the only reason why? She's been out since 2023. She went out the whole year. So
you're telling me that if WrestleMania comes up and you hear this theme music, you're going to be upset?
Woo!
He appears, I believe in Joe Hendry.
Yes.
Why?
Like I just said, the people, since WrestleMania of last year, you reset the clock. So the people from April to this year,
Charlotte had a legitimate injury.
You know what though? She probably they did a clip last night on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So she's gonna probably come out at Royal Rumble.
You know who I want to see her face?
Huh?
You want to know who I want to see her face and put over?
Becky Lynch?
Fuck that. It's Tiffy time.
I think it's
Don't tell me that's not a good match.
Too early for it though. Too early at Royal Rumble.
At WrestleMania.
I said I don't want to see it. I don't want to see her there, but I know I'm going to get her there. I'm just saying, just because of how much time, I think the people on the roster who've been busting their ass for 8 months or 9 months, I think they deserve spots over returning stars from injury. That's all I'm just saying about that.
I get that, but I think that Tiffany Stratton is deserving of, and no pun intended, the rub. I think that her coming, I think Charlotte coming. I don't want Charlotte to win the Royal Rumble, of course not. Maybe she wins the Elimination Chamber or something like that. But I want to see Tiffany Stratton because I think she's the future. I think Tiffany Stratton is definitely.
I'm getting a newfound respect for this. Is it Layla Jackson or? You get the 2-girl tag team, the one with the red hair, the one who got the black hair. They're in NXT. Big girl.
Miss Parker?
Huh?
Jada Parker?
No, Jada Parker. I said Layla.
Jonathan Jackson. I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the tag team. One of them's Jackson, the other one. And I think that girl, if she gets off in a singles run, I think she can go with it too.
I think Jada Parker. I feel the same way in NXT about Jada Parker. I think she was part of that the group Mud or something like that, or OTM Out the Mud. I think that she has all she had that MMA fight with that one Lola Vice, who I'm not a fan of.
I think Sol Roca. I think you're going to see some good things from her.
Well, I mean, go look at the NXT in general. I mean, you have Masha Slamovich, you're talking about TNA, in the crowd. I think she's going to end up facing Cora Jade. You got Stephanie Vaquer. You have Julia, the new champion. You have Roxanne Perez.
I think at the Rumble you might see a 15-15 split, because or a 20-10 split. 20.
I think you're more likely to see a 20-10.
10, no, it'll be 10-10 and 10. And what it'll be 10 Raw, 10 SmackDown.
No, I think it'll be 10 SmackDown, 10 Raw, 5 NXT, and possibly 5 TNA.
Because I just think there's some girls in NXT that right now can come up to the main roster.
Julia,
now,
Stephanie.
I don't believe Roxanne Perez is big enough to come up to the main roster.
You have lost your mind.
No, what I mean by big enough, size-wise.
I know. You have lost your mind. That girl can compete with anybody. She's about to go against Bailey.
No, Daly got to go against Nia Jax first.
What, dear? What was that?
I have a question.
Okay.
So this deal they have with TNA,
Tits and ass.
is this would this have been a possibility if Tony Khan hadn't quote unquote opened the forbidden door? Did AEW pave the way for this?
Well, if you go by what Hunter has said, we will work with any company if it's best for business.
Meaning we will work with anybody except for that piece of shit from TNA. I'm sorry, from AEW.
I'll put it like that. Listen, guys, do you realize right now what it would do to the business as a whole if Tony Khan and Paul Levesque could sit down, work something out, and have a mutually agreed to show? Do you know what that would do for the business?
Yes.
But him being the fanboy that he is,
he won't do it.
Tony Khan would never do it because why?
So this
In
is
one
the thing,
swoop of a pen.
This is the thing about Paul Levesque, Triple H, that people don't really give him credit for. We get messages out the ass right now.
Well, I guess my point is, would he have even said that? Would it have been possible, or did it have to be a post Vince environment for that also to happen?
True, but what I'm saying is this is why I have a whole new level of respect.
Vince never thought there was another wrestling company out there other than WWE. So that.
But what I'm saying is the perfect example of what Paul Levesque brings to the business that no one else has. First and foremost, Bruno Sammartino. He brought him back. The Ultimate Warrior. He brought him back. And even recently, CM Punk. Who in their right mind thought they would see that?
Well, when you look at how Punk has approached it, Punk finally decided, and he in fairness to him, he finally decided to put aside petty stuff and just he came right out and said it.
Say what you want.
I'm here for the money. He finally came out and said, "I'm here for the money."
Had every right to feel how he did, though. If you think about it, Gerard, he got fired on his wedding day. He was trying to get his royalty checks. They, could you cut me another check? This and that, blah blah. He never tried to do anybody dirty. And I'm not saying I'm the biggest Punk fan. But the worst thing AEW did is tell the truth about what happened with him. And the truth was they had nobody there who had the balls to lay down the law and keep a hard line. So you have Tony Schiavone bitching to Phil Brooks, CM Punk, hey, Phil, could you, I'm having issues with this kid. They're not listening to me. And so Phil Brooks, who's trying to protect the business, it's real glass, deal with it. Fucking dumb shit. Went over there and handled it. He got upset. Then you have the fucking him choke fucking Jack Perry. Before that, you had Brawl Out. He was.
What gets me about that, Dan, and you'll understand this one. If you look at that whole video as a whole, I understand everything that some Punk says is exactly almost to a T what he says. Okay. Why though? When I look at that video, does that not look like a setup? For the simple fact, you would never see video like that get leaked out from WWE.
They did it. I think they did it because they thought they would get a pop, and all it did was backfire and make them look stupid.
Well, but good, bad, or indifferent, you don't leak out shit that goes on in the back. Why? Fans are going to take it the way fans are going to take it. And you never put and trust the backstage politics in the hands of the fans.
Well, I know about this. You have two separate entities. You have WWE, who still believes in the sanctity and security and protecting the business, so there's a business for the future generation.
They almost believe in kayfabe a little bit more.
Yeah, and then you have AEW, who thinks that everybody should be allowed in, that it should be super inclusive, and everybody needs to know everything that's going on. I should know what color fucking Statlander's panties are this week.
Listen, all you got to do is go look at the online community for commentators and how they commentate against what Raw did, what SmackDown did, and what AEW Dynamite did. Okay.
Well, and what doesn't help is you have these so-called fucking journalists like Dave Meltzer who are fucking so up Tony Khan's fucking butt cheeks they can taste what he had for fucking dinner.
Everything's a B+, A-, A+, right? But for WWE, we're talking about something like You're talking about you could have a banger of a match. That banger might get a B, but you see a lot of C pluses, B minuses. The overall show is a B minus, but they'll give it Dynamite A minuses.
Uncle Jack, you are absolutely right, and it's good to see you. Big fan of your work, Uncle Jack. Yeah, Tony Khan built an in real life fucking toy company because he could, and he hired all his friends. But he's afraid of his friends, Jack. He's afraid of all of his fucking friends because
no, listen. He didn't hire his friends. You know what he hired?
What?
People who were smart enough to take that dumbass's money.
I was watching a very interesting documentary about a week ago, and it was about how Cody Rhodes left AEW, and he didn't leave because he wanted to. He left because I think he felt disrespected. I think that he had worked his ass off just as much as the Bucks, just as much as Omega to build something better. He was he was the glue that held all that together. He was tight with fucking CM Punk. And whenever
has it been 3 years or 4 years since he cut that promo? 3 years. Right about this time of year, 3 years ago, when he got into the ladder in the middle of the ring and cut that promo on AEW. And he basically gave a shoot interview. He gave a shoot promo. Basically, I think he should have just come out and said, screw this company. I hope it burns to the ground.
But it was his baby. He was very proud of it.
I know.
And then when Tony started taking more of a hands-on approach, look, I'm not here. Like, I'm disgusted about what AEW has become because, again, when we started this podcast all those months ago, I was the AEW shill. I was the guy who's, no matter what, I would support AEW. That was who I was. And as I slowly watched everything, exactly. And so as I watched, I started to realize, this is diminishing. I love what they were doing with Brody Lee. I loved what they were doing with the Dark Order. All this stuff was good. It was positive. It was, and then you have a guy in Cody Rhodes who wanted to change the way the system worked. And you know what? He fucking succeeded. We wouldn't have the WWE we have now had things not happen with AEW. I can't deny that. I will always be grateful for the time we've had there. What I will say is they did not appreciate the man they had. Much like Vince did not appreciate this polka dot wearing Dusty Rhodes back in the day. They did not realize that the son of a plumber was the one holding their company together, and he was the glue holding all that fucking thing. And once he left, it fell apart.
Hey, let me put it like this, okay? Cody Rhodes, when he left AEW, would have been like Derek Jeter leaving the New York Yankees to go to the Boston Red Sox.
Don't even.
No. I'm just saying, would have been like Derek Jeter leaving the Yankees to go to the Boston Red Sox.
Well, better what? It was the Bambino going from Boston to New York. That's what happened.
But I gave a more modern. Okay, but I'm saying is
Bob Beantown. Hello, Gotham City.
No, I'm saying, but let's do it in reverse. A guy from the Yankees going to Boston, and the Red Sox almost had him, but George Steinbrenner said, "How much they offering you? I'll give you $1 million more." And he said, "Okay, fine." But I'm saying is so Cody leaving, and Tony Khan basically being Steinbrenner said, "I don't give a crap. Let him go." Not realizing that Vince wasn't going to be the one in charge because he thought, because Vince made that drive, Vince flew down, knocked on Cody's door. Vince hired Cody. Tony Khan thought Vince was going to be the guy running with Cody, not knowing all this other stuff was going to come up. Now, is Cody Rhodes in the same place today if Vince is still in charge? Hell no. No. Is WWE in this same place if Vince is still in charge?
But is Vince still in charge had AEW not popped up? There's a lot of questions to be asked there because when AEW came along, it was so different. You had heavy hitters. You had a Cody Rhodes. You had a Jericho. And say what you want, I'm not a fan of Jericho's work now, but when Jericho showed up, he legitimized that company. Jericho was what made them actually a credible company. And I'm so glad that he won the title. The first AEW champion.
I don't think it was Jericho.
Who?
I think when Sting showed up. Jericho being there at the time helped. But now you get Sting, which I'm sorry. Anybody who ever compares Jericho to Sting's record, you're a moron. Because Sting is Sting. He's an icon in the industry. Chris Jericho is not on his level. And if
I
anybody-
would just I think that he's tarnished his legacy up to this point now. But I'm not look. I can't sit here and say that Jericho hasn't had an amazing career. Again, starting out in Japan, in Mexico, being Corazon de Leon. When he was all that. When he went to ECW for a short stay. When he went to WCW and was the fucking uber heel. Eventually going to WWE, winning his first world title. All these things that he did.
Yes, it is. I've said this about Sting, and I'm going to ask you about Jericho. Without a good supporting cast for Jericho, could Jericho have carried a company? Sting needed a good supporting cast to carry.
Sting needed flair.
He needed a good supporting cast. Jericho, when he first came in, his first night, who in the blue hell are you? It doesn't matter what your name is. His first promo is against The Rock.
Yeah.
Okay? The guys they put him in the ring with to get him over, he had a good supporting cast. He doesn't become who he does if he doesn't have that cast. If he had stayed in WCW, Jericho was not Jericho.
No, he wasn't given opportunities. But the same can be said about Sting. If Flair did not take a liking to Sting at the Great American Bash when they had that fucking classic match, would we even talking about Sting right now?
Listen, the other thing, hold on. We're not talking about Sting if he doesn't turn into the Crow, which we go back to movie references.
That's not fair because I can tell you right now, Surfer Sting was over like Rover. That man.
No, what I'm saying, hey, the face paint Sting, he's almost gone and talked about. He's forgotten about. Just as the NWO come around, because why? Nobody wanted it no more. Nobody wanted that
again,
Sting.
it goes back to why Hogan was no longer being cheered. He's being booed. Nobody wants the fucking white meat baby face anymore. They want the anti-hero.
Hey, think about it like, hey, John Cena's first 5 years of his career. The first year, he was getting booed out of the building. Then he turns into the master of thugonomics. Okay?
Sir, he has a PhD in thugonomics.
And then for the next 15 years, he's the ultimate babyface. But in that 15 years, how many times did you want to see him turn full-blown heel and he never did?
And Bray Wyatt did it perfectly at WrestleMania. He showed everybody the John Cena we wanted to see. And I get that, but to say, okay, and this is going to be a very hot take, and I'm sure people are going to criticize me. Fucking match for match, rivalry for rivalry, longevity for longevity. I think Chris Jericho was a better fucking wrestler than Sting. I think that he had the ability, had he was given the time and in the right spots, he could have outdrawn Sting.
I don't think Jericho went against the opponents. He didn't have the opponents Sting had.
Jericho's biggest fucking flaw was not one of his own. It was that they would never pull the trigger. Go back to that Monday Night Raw where he shocked, beat Triple H. They should have stick with that finish. If they would have stick with that finish, that would have made him a main eventer sooner than he should have been. And I think that the fucking Nick Bockwinkel version of Jericho with the suit and tie and his pontification and talking about how he literally he could have been the son of Nick
just
Bockwinkel.
Before he left, he had his best gimmick of his career with "You Just Made the List." That was the best gimmick of his career.
Really? Because I thought the Ocho, not the Ocho. Yeah, no. I thought the fucking a bit of the bubbly. I thought the Jericho that we got in AEW wasn't bad.
I always have criticism for Yu. Who's Yu?
For you? Who's you,
Yu?
Murphy?
For Yu.
I consider argue. I think that as growing up, I thought Surfer Sting, the man called Sting, he was the coolest cat in the room. I hated Rick Rude because he beat up my hero. I wanted a flat top. I wanted bleached blonde hair because I thought Sting was the coolest guy in the world. Couldn't say that about WWE because I only liked the bad guys in WWE. I was all about the fucking Jake Roberts and shit like that.
And like I've said it before. When Ultimate Warrior and Sting came up together, okay? Sting's career lasted much longer, as we all know, because I don't think Sting. I think Sting
because he wasn't taking enhancements.
No, what I'm saying is, I don't think Sting, even on retirement, never got to the point of Warrior.
Absolutely. No. Sting never. Okay, this is the biggest issue with Sting.
Now, mind you, he didn't get to WWE until well late in his career.
Yeah,
so
the dream match we missed out was on Crow Sting versus The Undertaker. We should have had it so many times. And I think he could have had that, and it would have been the main event because it was so desired. I'll give
him credit for his loyalty.
Absolutely. But it wasn't about loyalty. It was a fear. And he's come out and said it. Sting was afraid of what WWE was going to do to him under Vince's regime, because they did it to Dusty. They did it to everybody that came from WCW and came over. They never Booker T, perfect example. That 15-second delay before the pedigree spot, and that he should have won that, because you sat there and basically made Triple H come off like a racist. People like you don't win world titles. It was disgusting and then Triple H wins. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. And you're not going to tell me Booker T wasn't a great fucking hand in the ring.
I got to say this about Booker T. What he did with Austin, especially in the store where they had that, when Austin has a shirt and telling him drink more milk and stuff like that. The fight they had in the supermarket where he pours the milk and stuff like that.
Booker T was so underrated in the fact that he could get any gimmick over. Him and Gold Dust. Gold Dust. Damn it. Spam. Bang. And yes, what Trips was saying in the chat. The Festival of Friendship. What a fucking climax to that storyline. Wait, why is my name on here? And you see, he takes the box down, the list of KO. Oh, fuck me. Again, talk about another guy who's like, look, I'm going to say it right now. At the Royal Rumble, if Kevin Owens does not win the fucking title, he's done.
The one thing I don't like about what they're doing with that title right now, though, they're recycling an old Ric Flair gimmick.
The real world
champion. That's how he came in to WWE.
Yeah. And then they had to censor it because WCW threw a fucking fit.
What they should be doing is censoring the Eagle belt.
Why? It's their fucking belt. What the fuck, Gerard?
I'm just saying.
Later, Uncle Jack. See you in a little bit.
I'm just saying is though, when you got to recycle something like that, it'd be great to bring an old clip of that. And but the last thing I'd want to see is Ric Flair back on my WWE screen, because he believes right now that Tony Khan's the best promoter in the world.
No, and the problem with Ric Flair is, like, again, he's gotten to that age where anybody that looks out for him, he's gonna be up their ass. And I feel bad because Ric Flair has become a fucking shadow of what he once was. He really has, and I'm sorry to see it. I really.
You know how many arenas in this country have?
Wait. If you're say it. What were you saying?
That he's 1,000 years old.
What? You know how many?
How are you sad about what he's become? He's a mummy.
Oh no!
Not as a wrestler, dear. I'm sad about that he's degraded himself so far down that
there are sports teams in this country, especially hockey teams. When this team scores a goal, all you hear is the woo. You hear it. So his voice is out there.
He's a guy who held on too long. The fact is, he had a heart attack in his last match. If you've heard about that, it's just. You know what? I will go down by saying the person who had the best retirement, even though they came back twice, two different people. Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels. And I'm not a Shawn Michaels guy.
I think the person who had the best retirement right now is The Undertaker, because when he's retired, he hasn't come back.
You know what? You're fair. That's even better than what I was coming up with. Yeah. And he did it with class. I think Undertaker stayed about 2 years too late. I still think the Boneyard match was excellent.
I would have loved to have known what he said to Kevin to Bray Wyatt. What he said to Bray Wyatt.
And I have a bitterness towards WWE, and I have a bitterness towards Vince and their booking style, because you had these guys, and they, Had they been in competition, I think it would have been different. But you had real talent in some of these guys. Perfect example, Matt Cardona. He's the king of the indies right now. King of the death match. Now he is a formal, and when it still means something. It's not what it once meant. He's a formal NWA world champion, CZW champion. I mean, look, always ready. I think that WWE is really missing out. They need to bring him back.
At what cost, though, will you bring him back? In other words, so I was talking to somebody about it. Let's just say he gets 5,000 to 10,000 per booking, right? If he can
Hold on, I just had a thought, Gerard. Thinking over here. Oh yeah. What if at the Royal Rumble, Gerard, Matt Cardona comes out, costs him the world championship, cup of coffee in the big time, drops down. What if Matt Cardona shows up at the Royal Rumble, costs Cody Rhodes? There's your fucking WrestleMania match. Cody Rhodes, Matt Cardona.
My question to you is this. Do too many WWE fans still consider him Zack Ryder?
He can break that. Have you seen his work outside?
Oh, no, I'm just saying. But I'm saying is, though, does he take a pay cut to go back to WWE? Because let's just say he does 200 shows on the indies right now at $5,000 a show. It's $1 million a year. I don't see the WWE giving him that $1 million. I just don't see them giving him the $1 million.
I see them making money hand over fist and maybe doing it.
On merchandise, maybe. The downside guarantee, I don't see it. Now, can Matt say, hey, I don't have to go do all these indie shows to make the money? Yeah. But then how many people will he piss off if he has to cancel shows? Because the one thing I will say that Matt Cardona looked like he's reliable in that aspect to where if I book a show with you, I'm going to show up.
Agreed. And I think, WWE has been good enough to let people finish at their bookings, where we have enough time that he could finish his bookings, still show up, do what he has to do.
He could be booked out till March. He could be going to a WrestleCon show in April at WrestleMania.
Somebody is apparently going to be taking fucking bookings at WrestleMania.
Yeah. So, I'm just saying is.
How is the Panhandle right now?
Isn't it cold down there?
Yeah, I hope he fucking freezes his balls off.
If he still has them at his old age. they ain't balls anymore. They're raisins.
You would know, old man. You would know. And how you know that?
No. I haven't got there yet. I don't sit on them yet.
I'm sure his drip falling into the toilet when he's taking a shit, little fuckface. Anyway. But no, I think that's look. We're fantasy booking right here, right? I think that's a hell of a match to go into. Royal Rumble, Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona shows up. Again, Cardona has a relationship with Kevin Owens. You can go there. He goes heel, costs Cody the title. You get Kevin Owens over. Cody still leaves with a fucking acknowledgement, say, "Well, I didn't really lose." Go and he takes on fucking Matt Cardona at WrestleMania. What a pop!
I was talking to somebody the other day. You cannot tell me the men's Money in the Bank briefcase is not being missed right now.
I agree with you, but I think that there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Like, fuck, look, we have Malachi Black potentially coming back to WWE at any time.
I understand. The other thing is, too, like you just thinking about Matt. Why do we need Matt? Look at all the other guys in line.
You're right, but it's a hell of a time to be a wrestling fan right now, isn't it?
If that's the case, who lives in Vegas?
Steve Austin?
Ryback. Why don't we just bring back Ryback?
Fuck that fucking piece of shit.
Feed me more.
Fucking
listen, good people. I gotta tell you, okay. I was listening to something today, and I was seeing a crowd reaction to and I'm like,
Mandingo?
Fandango. And I just say, what happened to those great crowd reactions? Like, there's nothing better than spontaneous crowd reaction. Nothing. Unfortunately, right now, it seems like 85% of the time, we're not getting spontaneous. It's almost like the crowd knows it's coming. I want spontaneous.
That's what I'm talking about, Gerard. That's why I'm talking about Matt Cardona. That's what I'm talking about an Aleister Black coming back. That's what I'm talking about the best man, Miro. Fucking, I want Miro back, but I don't want his WWE gimmick. I want his AEW gimmick. I want the Redeemer. Oh, guys, look, say what you want. AEW did wonders for fucking Miro. He comes back to WWE. No, I'm saying gimmick wise. Calm down. Grab your heart pills. Calm down.
That company cost him his marriage.
That company did not cost him his marriage. I don't think it was the company.
Oh yeah.
Why? Well, okay, explain yourself. You can't just leave it open.
Yeah. Well, you know, the old song called "Who's Making Love to Your Old Lady?" What, you're out making love? He was out on the road. Who was she at home with?
Bobby Lashley.
Look. Bobby Lashley shows up in AEW. They get divorced. We know something's up.
Hey, listen. What happened to Crystal Marshall? That's what I want to know.
They're still married.
No, they're not.
What?
Bobby and Crystal, I don't think are married anymore, from what I read.
Oh, well, that's fucking weird. I thought they were still together.
But you know, do you think? Let's segue into. Do you think MJF ever regrets re-signing, especially after the promo we saw the other night?
I don't think he does, because I don't think he'd have that same freedom in the E.
Because I'll tell you this right now. First of all, as a man, I would have been more inclined to punch MJF in the face for talking about my wife than talking about a friend.
Look, all I'm saying is Jeff Jarrett's the only man who gets to know what MJF and an Olympic gold medal's balls taste like.
Like, hey, oh, wait a minute. And, you know,
they weren't pissed off about that. No. There was
and a ninth wonder of the world at that, too.
Yes, that was a great fucking line. But the uproar wasn't about that. The uproar was about him calling him the Grim Reaper of wrestling. Every company he goes to fucking dies. But you like say what you want. TNA will never die. It's been on life support.
Well, no, because remember, it was supposed to be GFW
for the gold.
What was it? Global Force Wrestling.
Or Global Farce, as some people call it.
But that didn't go over, so we had to change the name. Right? Now, he got Dixie Carter involved, and he just stole her money. Now,
and then she fucking fired him from his own company.
Yep. And, you know, I was listening to somebody the other day talking about that company, and I think that the guy was right when he said, if it wasn't for me and getting creative freedom, that company probably would have closed its doors. And the guy I heard talking about it was Bubba Ray. In which,
you know, a lot of people...
Aces and Eight gimmick was a very well drawn out, designed.
It was basically the biker version of the NWO. I think it's how the NWO should have played out, to be honest. I think it was a rehashed gimmick. I think it was just rewritten differently as a bunch of bikers. I think that they condensed it well enough. And again, when the NWO showed up with 15 limos, there's a problem. I think the Aces and Eights got to a level it should have been. It was exactly how the NWO should have played out. So kudos to look, I don't say it all the time. Kudos to Bischoff. Kudos to Bully Ray.
Hey, put it like this. I'm going to put it like this. They never capitalized off the Rey Mysterio incident in the NWO.
They lawn darted his ass.
Not that. No, you had the police show up. People really thinking guys were getting attacked. Police are calling 911. Thought there was an actual riot going on. On live television, you got police showing up.
I thought they did a damn good job of capitalizing on that.
The short term was great. The long term, I read something from Paul Heyman the other day. He was talking to Logan Paul. And he was talking about how he writes the last page first in everybody's story. And he said, how do we get to this point? That's the fun part. This is where we want to get to. How we get there. How long it takes us to get there. 18 months, 24 months. But however long it takes us to get to this point, This is where we need to get to. That's Paul Heyman. I've said it. I think Tony Khan has an 18 to 24 minutes book. Where do we got to be in 24 minutes from now? 18 to 24 minutes. I think that's the way he looks at everything. And especially going with Mercedes Moné.
God, I wish Jacob was here right now. I just text him.
So, and that's some of the problem. You have and you know the sometimes the sad part with him is he tries to shove too much down your throat in one show, so you can't even possibly. Hey, what just happened? You can't get everything together. I'll give you a perfect example. Gunther in his interview with Yeet on Monday Night Raw. Okay, Gunther just walks away. All this stuff. He says all this stuff to Jay. And Jay says, everything you said was right. And all Gunther said was smile and walked away. And we're going to see that match next Saturday.
I'm looking forward to it. Gunther's not dropping the title, and nor should he right now.
You know, like the thing that I like about Gunther compared to your other wrestlers, Gunther, I've said before and I'll say it again, Killer Kowalski, he looks like a clone of Killer Kowalski. But what he reminds me of is Hunter Hearst Helmsley. That's who he reminds me of, though. The smug cockiness about him. But without the long hair, about being like a blue blood and stuff like that. And he's running a program right now to where, yes, Jay is over. I don't think Jay should be a champion.
I think he's actually gotten out of the shadow of the Usos. He's doing a great job of merch. You know, that Yeet shit's getting over.
Yep.
Fucking, you know, I won't knock him. I don't.
Listen, you have so
you
many
can call
guys.
him motherfucker main event all day long. It doesn't mean he's the main event.
You have a great competition going on right now for main event status. I love it. You have a great main event. You have a great competition going on. Oh, and by the way, happy 71st to the $1 Million Man.
I was literally listening to his theme music the other day coming home from work. I don't know what it is about that laugh. We'll never have another Ted DiBiase. I'm sorry. I mean,
spontaneous, bam. Listen, you know, you think about he caught heat for that basketball segment. He caught heat for having people go down and kiss his feet.
You know what? Hold on. Brought that up. And I know we were talking about it's been dead. We did talk about it earlier, but that's another thing. Another podcast had an issue with your statement about something. Remind me that basketball segment with Ted DiBiase.
Uh-huh.
What ethnicity was that child?
He's a little minority.
Little black child? Black child?
Yep.
So there was a whole fucking shtick with a bunch. You know, you said that nobody stuck up for fucking Hogan. Well, there was a few guys that stuck up for Hogan, and I'm not knocking them. Hey, they've been on this channel. They've been friendly towards us for the most part. But I beg to differ. That doesn't work for me, brother. That's not going to work for me, brother. You've been around since fucking Jesus was wrestling. How many feuds with African-American wrestlers did Hulk Hogan have?
If I added it up, no. He wrestled just under 2,200 matches in his career. About 1,500 of those were single matches. Less than 75 were against African-American wrestlers.
So, okay, I want you to know.
And hold on. And out of that, the most was 37 against Kamala.
So half of the 75 matches he had against African-American wrestlers
Was against one guy. 10 of them was against Bad News Brown. 6 against SD Jones. A couple against The Rock, you know. But Kamala and Bad News Brown was 47.
Okay. And you would say, being there around that time, Terry had pretty much carte blanche of what he wanted to do, right? He could pretty much cut his own path.
Pick and choose.
How many matches? You just had 20. How many? 26? 20 matches?
2,200. That's the thing. Put it like this. That's wrestling every day for just about 6 years.
75.
Yeah.
Tell me he couldn't have a match with Coco Beware?
I think he had one.
Couldn't have a match with a Junkyard Dog?
I think it was one. Like I said, out of those 75, there's like onesies and like 37.
Couldn't have a program with the big cat and lad.
Lad wasn't around then.
No,
that was the 70s.
I'm sorry. Couldn't have one with the fucking Soul Man, Rocky Johnson.
I think it said one.
Couldn't have a match with.
He had matches.
No, but like, I'm talking about
feuds.
A legitimate feud. I'm not talking about just matches. I'm talking about couldn't have a legitimate feud with Soul Man.
The 37 he had against Kamala was probably 2 months in a row touring house shows.
Okay, and couldn't have a match with Mapeka.
Tony Atlas. He might have had one or two. Like I said, it might have been
a feud. I'm talking a feud, real. Look, I'm talking like that. Like a feud he had with. I guess you could say the Undertaker had a feud with. It ended at Taboo in Texas.
Well, think about it. He had a feud with Andre. Yeah, it might have been 3 matches, but that was over a year feud.
Had a feud with Macho Man.
Yep. But his biggest feud, he had 93 matches against Paul Orndorff.
Well, let me ask you this: was there not enough black talent back then?
There wasn't enough pushed. Now, when I was reading, I didn't see how much as Samoans. I didn't see. So I'm talking about ethnic guys. Period. I'm talking about minorities. Period. Not just.
And let me clarify: Hulk Hogan, at that time, chop it down, could have probably picked and chose who he wrestled, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so somebody bring up Akeem. I'm like, Akeem, he's a white guy.
He's the African Dream.
Colonel De Beers was white too.
He might as well wrestle slick. Again, going back to what we talked about earlier with Hulk Hogan, there is a consistent pattern here, and I'm not
wrestled Virgil once.
Really. There's a consistent pattern. There's a consistent pattern when it comes down to Hulk Hogan. I'm sorry. I know the argument was Zeus, so he wrestled a made-up character that came from the silver screen. What?
Okay,
no,
him and Rocky must have had a feud too then, right? A one-match feud.
I get these fucking supporters for Hulk Hogan. I get it. You don't want to believe that your fucking favorite wrestler might have had a bias. He wasn't wrestling Hispanic, Samoans, or any of that. It was like the same guys over and over. Let's call it for what it is, man. Let's just say it for what it is.
Now, was the business as populated back then with good minority wrestlers? Well, you can say maybe not. But
JYD, the Birdman, Coco Beware.
I was going to say the problem with a lot of the guys you're going to mention were baby faces also.
Fair, but he wrestled fucking the Ultimate Warrior, who was a babyface.
Yep, but if you think about it, the first 9 WrestleManias he headlined, not once against a minority, and I can give all 9 of them right now. Tag team match, the first match. So you ended with Mr. T as a partner because Mr. T was helping you sell the damn building.
But again, that's Mr. T. It doesn't count. 2
was King Kong Bundy. 3 was Andre. 4, he didn't wrestle in 4 for the main event. That was Savage and DiBiase. 5 was against Savage. 6 against Warrior. 7 was against Sergeant Slaughter. 8 was Sid Justice. And number 9, he won the title against Yokozuna, who he lost to 2 months later because he was out the door.
Again, and we're talking about a guy who did Bret dirty. Let's be real. That whole situation was fucked up.
So then he comes back at, 18?
Yep.
And he wrestles The Rock. So it took him 18 WrestleManias to wrestle, or up until WrestleMania 18 for him to wrestle his first black opponent at WrestleMania.
And again, The Rock is a universal icon of wrestling.
Yep.
You can't deny him for what he was. So let me ask you this, and this is something we'll probably discuss in another podcast.
And it was supposed to be against Hogan, but it was supposed to be against Austin. And he was supposed to go against Austin, and Razor Ramon was supposed to go against The Rock. But
and fair enough. But what I'm saying is, can we just call it for what it is? Looking back, there is a history here of Hulk Hogan not being so fucking kind to the fucking minority wrestlers. If we're all here to make money, brother, and we're all here to fucking get along, brother.
I don't think he ever believed the gate would have been strong enough. I think, because I remember back in those days, it was all about the gate to him.
Fair enough, but what I'm saying, you're telling me that JYD wasn't going to draw?
Because he was a babyface. No, unless you had to turn somebody. And remember, back in those days, babyfaces didn't go against babyfaces.
You're going to tell me that fucking Tony Atlas wouldn't draw?
Babyface.
Look, they can excuse it all at once. It just doesn't. It seems fugazi.
No, that's what I'm saying. And when you look at it as a whole, he did his run with Kamala. He did the run. I watched the match in Boston Garden. Okay, I think the next month he was against Harley Race. So it wasn't like it was a continued feud. It was house show matches and stuff like that. Wasn't nothing ever big on television.
Again, he could have, look, he talks about drawing. Hulk Hogan was the draw. You could have built one of these guys up. Bad News Brown.
Now, in self-defense, Kamala was actually bigger in WCCW
absolutely
than he was in WWE.
But it goes to back. You go to that machine. You go at that time. You would take these guys from other companies. You bring them in the machine of WWE, and they get buried in the shuffle. You know who was trying to get people over? Roddy Piper. Oh, and he was notorious for shit.
What he did with Bad News Brown.
Yes.
He took a hell of a risk. And you know what happened with that risk? As soon as the match was over, it was done. And you know what? Bad News didn't care, because what did Bad News do out of it? He made a shit ton of money.
My thing was this. Bad News Brown. That was on Bad News Brown. Piper was doing everything he could to get him over.
Yep.
Watch those promos.
When he came out like that at WrestleMania 6, okay, they don't even show it. I don't even think that interview, I think it's cut. But that's who Piper was, though.
But see, Piper was you can't really, I don't think anybody then would say that Piper was a racist, because Piper, he was the people's champion before that was a moniker.
No. Piper always used to do what was best for business, because why? What was best for business for Piper? Put more money in Piper's pockets. And what would he always say? I got kids to feed. I got family to feed.
Piper, even as a heel, Piper got over the minority baby faces. And I'm not a fan of Snuka. The coconut on the head. Fuck.
And it's sad. Think about it like this. No racial people, nobody knocking on the doors of racial epithet, nothing like that. You know what? They had a great feud. They both made a nice fortune off that feud, and on it went. Because, what was worse? Piper and Snuka, or Snuka and Morocco? Because I'll tell you, Morocco.
I think for that match, Morocco and Snuka, that was heavy heat. Jumping off the cage, covered in blood. But I think for longevity and being remembered, you'll never forget the coconut off the head. No. They fucking brought it up fucking 15 years later.
It comes back down to the parts of, where do you want to go? How are we going to get there? Okay. Now, in that same amount of time you're talking there, you had a guy who came out dressed up as G.I. Joe. Okay.
And again, as we talked about earlier, had the very first ring music.
And one that to this day can be played by anybody, anywhere, at any time because nobody owns the music. The Marine Corps hymn. Anybody can play it.
So now I think we should really get in, and we're going to lean into what the epithet of this show was going to be about. We've kind of held off where we're going to go with it because we wanted Jacob here. Jacob's still on the toilet, which is fine. Give him hell, Jacob. You show that number 2 who's number 1.
Don't forget the wiggle.
The wiggle, the fucking smiley. When we go back, you and I have had this discussion. I don't know how many times. There is music. There's when we talked about Tony last week, right? The announcer plays a part in getting a star over. The match and the wrestling, the in-ring action, the character plays a part in getting a wrestler over.
Hey, before you get going on that, Dan, I want you to remember one thing. When music first started, the announcer announced the wrestler first. Then you'd hear the music.
Yeah.
They changed it to where you'd hear the theme, then you would announce the wrestler.
But what I'm saying is when you go buy a car, right?
Yep.
When you go buy anything, what's the first thing you do? You take a look at it. You see it. Music in wrestling is the first thing you experience, the first sense that hits you when it comes to a wrestler. Before you see their body, before you see their body of work, before you see anything about them, you hear their music.
Yep.
I will be the first to say, in recent years, since the departure of Jim Johnston, who deserves to be in the fucking Hall of Fame, much like Tony Chimmel, hashtag Tony in the Hall of Fame. The WWE music has just become fucking bland and stale as fuck. I mean, you got some here and there. I think Gunther's is an excellent theme.
Roman Reigns Roman Reigns is perfect.
I think Solo's pretty good.
Def Rebel. Somebody named Def Rebel does the music now.
And I'm not, like I said, I'm not a fan because it's hit and miss. With
Yep.
Jim Johnston and Jimmy Hart, they were killing it.
Listen, okay, let's go back, and we'll go back to the early years. Like I say, when Jimmy Hart, what helped a lot for Jimmy Hart back in those days, like I said, getting Cyndi Lauper involved.
Yeah.
That was a creative genius move on both Vince's part and Cyndi Lauper's management part. Creative genius, okay? Because
piece of trivia, though, for those watching, and you told me this, in the video, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Of course, Captain Lou Albano played the father, who was originally slated to play the mother of Cyndi Lauper in that video. Trips, do you know?
I do not know that.
I'll say it was a very hairy gal. Does that help you?
No.
Okay, if I say that they had an affinity for turnbuckles.
it was all mine.
Still no.
Oh my God. It was all mine.
It was George the Animal Steel. He was meant to be the mother of Cyndi Lauper in the music video.
Oh.
See, when you think about it now, it would have been funny as hell if you would have saw him in a wig.
Man had more hair on his back than I have on my head.
Okay, now
all year long he was wearing a fucking ugly Christmas sweater.
And then, so we go back into the wrestling thing, the theme thing. Think about what that did for the business. You ended up with having Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. You had to start a Saturday Night's Main Event. That little part of putting rock and roll and wrestling together created some very good times back then. You had the war to settle the score with Piper and Hogan and stuff like that. What you had come out of that was you couldn't do that today. You could not do it. Okay.
MTV's influence with the WWE was such a big deal then too.
Which to me is Why WWE was put on USA and never put on MTV? Think about that. If you would have said, hey, no, let's go to the USA network. Let's put it on the MTV network. That would have been beautiful money together. The only thing I think it was on MTV was the War to Settle the Score.
Which again, you had so many celebrities coming out, which again led to WrestleMania, which all this stuff built to that.
Think about it. You got Liberace in the middle of the ring dancing with the Rockettes. You have Muhammad Ali, Billy Martin. You have, like I said, Muhammad Ali. And who refereed the main event? Pat Patterson.
Built all on the back of music.
Yep. And then
what?
Sorry, I just had to giggle at the irony of Pat Patterson bringing Liberace to wrestling.
But when you look at the way the music has been part of, if you're driving in your car, every now and then you might get Judas come on the radio.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was at a gentleman's club and that song played.
What about Baltimore? Oh, you know, Tarzan Boy. That's an 80s classic song. You don't...
It's silencing yourself, ma'am.
It's a shame that some of these performers wanted, you can't use the music because we want royalties. The freest royalties you're going to get is professional wrestling fans downloading your music.
Well,
not from our site.
The perfect example is, hey, look, say what you want about Tony Khan. I'm not going to sit here and completely bury the fuck. But he's done a really good job of getting the right songs for the right guys. I mean, Orange Cassidy coming out to the Pixies, coming out to fucking, was it Starship Jane?
Well, what about the Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks? Kansas has a song there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, listen, he bought In Living Color. He bought Cult of Personality.
Final Countdown for fucking Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, he those some of the songs he got correct.
Swerve Strickland and his influence in the music industry. He got fucking Rick Ross there. He got Bun B there.
But the problem is not knowing. I'm sorry. I am so glad they got rid of Wild Thing. Oh, I'm so glad they got rid of it. Because you know what? After I watched the movie, literally Major League, when the movie
man, why'd you have to bring that up? Now everything comes full circle.
Yep. Because we would be remiss if we didn't say rest in peace to Bob Uecker.
He was the voice of those movies.
Okay.
And again, to bring it back to wrestling, he was highly involved in WrestleMania. One of the most infamous and beloved visuals.
When Andre had his
hands on the neck of Bob Uecker. Jesus.
And he's playing like he's a chicken. The iconic stuff like that. How many times you ever said, hey, I must be in the front row? Because you're sitting up in the cheap seats. Yeah. Not only did I get to enjoy him on like a movie, listening to him some baseball time, I actually grew up watching Mr. Belvedere. So it was, at WrestleMania 7, I got to meet three guys. Alex Trebek, Regis Philbin, and Donald J. Trump.
President Donald J. Trump.
He wasn't president then.
I know.
And you don't realize how some of these guys actually lived their gimmick like wrestlers do. Because entertainers entertain all the time. I would have loved to have met Rodney Dangerfield.
No
my God.
No respect.
Oh, I would love to meet Jeff Dunham just to see what you can have a conversation you can have with him before he starts breaking out. Starts breaking out to those damn voices. I know. I mean, for some of you young guys out there, Sam Kinison might have been your Andrew Dice Clay. You know,
Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet.
all these things. But if you ever look about it, some of these guys, everybody uses music as part of their gimmick, part of their routine. And the biggest stars in our generation have been paired with the right music. Mr. Perfect doesn't get over, okay, with anything other than his theme. Rick Rude. Now,
I
Rick
still
Rude,
say his WCW theme is better.
now
than his
here's the thing.
WWF.
Rick Rude had the stripper music almost, but his song was supposed to have been "Smooth Operator" by Sade. But because of the royalty thing, that could have put a kibosh on that one.
Well, did you know? I don't know if you knew this, but Swerve Strickland in his indies had one of the best ring music ever. Trips the Flight Fantastic. Are you there?
Oh, she checked
I'm
out.
here. I didn't check out.
What was the theme music that I played to death?
Oh God. Oh God.
Wow. Do I have to say it? Shaka Khan.
Yes.
Her queuing in the past 2 weeks have been brutal.
For real. Shaka Khan.
Oh,
Ain't nobody.
does it better? Hey, from the movie Breaking.
Well, see, I'm sorry, but I'll always be a fan of Breaking 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
That being said, we're coming up on that hour 30 mark, and I was hoping that the fucking Jakester was going to be here.
He lied.
No, he texted me. He's definitely it's going to be a battle for that number 2. So I guess we're going to have to play without him. Name, well, you know what, wife? You put so much work into this beautiful fucking video. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, it's time. I can't hear anything. What did you do? We are like destined to not play this game.
Somebody's messed with us. They really don't want it done, huh?
For the 3rd week in a row, we're going to have to bring this back.
I don't know. She might just have the volume turned up. Is she there?
Yeah, she's clicking.
Oh. No, all we can just do, like I just said.
Oh, no, don't do that. She'll get pissed off. I'm going to have to feel the brunt of that.
Get up, now just start singing. This is the song that never ends. You'll be sleeping tonight like, the song's in my head. Like the Toys R Us song.
You are a Toys R Us kid.
Oh my God. My father hated that song.
Pants? Is it because your mic's off?
No.
Do you know what it is?
Yes.
It's because Jacob in here.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll blame it on Jacob.
In the meantime, do you want to test out the Jacob's Corner?
We'll give a Jacob Corner rant because he ain't here.
Nope.
Oh, we got the thing. We just don't have the sound.
Yeah, we have the video. We don't have the audio. We are never going to play this game. I'll blame Jacob. Do you want to X out of it and try it again?
Yeah. Well, I feel like the Andy Griffith music is playing in my head right now.
This is the curse of live fucking broadcasting.
Well, we can talk about one music. We could talk about what's going on right now with Chad Gable and how the old Kurt Angle music is.
Whoa! I heard that. You ready? You ready, Gerard?
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome to Name That Superstar, the game where I, Mrs. Producer, have previously selected wrestling theme songs, all in an attempt to see which one of these marks really knows their stuff and see who can get the most correct answers. Doesn't this sound like fun? Let's get started.
Going down, Gerard. Damn it. All right.
Right. No. Iron Sheik.
Sergeant Evil Slaughter. Ah! Ted DiBiase Jr. Ha! R-Truth.
R-Truth.
I already said it.
Oh, for love.
For love. Ha! Under the dive.
Kane.
Ah! Jake Robert. Stardust.
Oh. El Matador, Tito Santana.
Shit. Bailey. You have a guess? Oh, hold on. Can we play that again? Okay, hold on.
Roman Reigns.
Seth Rollins. The Messiah.
Oh.
I have no idea.
Neither I. Oh my
That
god.
didn't even fucking sound like that.
No.
Oh, he was scared. That is the modern day Maharaja.
Maharaja. Jacob. You're gonna be pissed. Who the hell's the game show host?
No guesses. I got
No.
nothing. Wow.
Oh,
You hear that?
that's the Monty.
Fuck. I knew you'd get that. He looks like you too.
Neidhart?
I know that. Jimmy Hart?
John Oh my god! The Rougeau brothers!
Of course you get it. The fucking Canadians. The fabulous Rougeau brothers. Bray
Oh my
Wyatt.
God, Bray Wyatt.
Emma.
Oh my God.
Emma.
These are the crazy ones.
Goldberg. I can't stand him, but that's Goldberg. You know that.
Yeah.
Come on, Gerard, you knew that one.
I think I won. Oh,
I can't. I know what this is. I can't compete in this one.
Brains.
Hold on.
Jeff Hardy.
This is a visual. Go. You have to go back. You have to go back.
Hold on. I hear them frying brains.
Hold on. Go back, dear. Come in and explain it to him. This was actually meant for you and Jacob, but it's a visual. You need to read it and see if you can figure out whose theme it is.
Okay. Brains. I hear them frying brains. Jeff Hardy. Nikki Bella.
So this is based on when you hear a ring entrance and you don't know the lyrics, like they just sound a certain way.
Yeah.
Wife, can you play the actual song, the actual video? You're not even gonna like. I love this, and I'm glad she put it in there. But is it gonna blow your fucking mind? All I'm gonna say is, it's a shame. What's a shame? Canoe.
No chance in hell is what it should have been. Because I would have no chance in hell of getting that.
Oh no, you're gonna love this. Because when you see what the actual song is, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? And you're gonna watch the video. I don't mind if we get demonetized for this, because that's actually worth it. Damn it, Jacob. Wish you were here. No. Seriously. You can share the video. What's not on the screen?
You know, this producer, my God.
Do you want me to do it?
I really can't see that. I'm doing it exactly right.
Nope. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, you just froze too.
Oh, wait, I'm an idiot. Hang on. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Son of a bitch.
What?
It went back to the start.
Yeah, it went back to the...
Did it actually play the music?
This is what happens when we do live. Oh, hold on. Kofi Kingston's.
You know. SOS. I hear them shouting. SOS. I hear them crying. Them calling. You woke up in a bad man place. You know, see it to the run for days. They can't get away. I bring bully for sorrow and pain. You should have never tried to to my face. Little boy, and it's a shame. What a shame. You lose your life. You have no more time. Your destiny is mine. Hear them calling. SOS. I hear them calling. SOS. I hear them shouting. SOS. I hear them crying. SOS. I hear them calling. You know.
Listen, I don't see nothing wrong with that.
But it's one of those songs that you don't like. No one knows the fucking lyrics of that song.
Well, if you think about it, a lot of reggae songs, like Bob Marley, you got to really pay attention to a lot of his songs to understand them. But the theme to them, the beat is like that beat right there. There's nothing wrong with the beat.
Oh, look, you know what? I know you're from Canada and you love Snow.
No, I'm not
okay?
from Canada.
I know that you love the fucking artist Snow. Informa.
God, he had to break out some Snow.
A shaky boom boom, yeah.
Oh my God! That's the only part of that song I even know.
I think the Jim Carrey version was better.
Weird Al Yankovic should have done a parody.
Yes, he should have. But again, but the importance of fucking ring music, right? Like Glass Shatter. When you hear Stone Cold Steve Austin's Glass, no matter where you are, you know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
You said it yourself when you like, because you're a fucking Hogan mark. When you hear that first riff to fucking Real American,
you know, and there's that one, Austin's. Like I said, that Warrior, the strumming of the guitar for the Warrior, dun
dun dun dun dun dun
dun dun dun dun. You know, like I say, hey, listen, I understand. I told you, modern day Warrior for Kerry Von Erich. You heard that? It was like that's all you need to hear. Modern day Warrior, today's Tom Sawyer. You know, that's all you need to hear.
Well, and let me ask you this: does Kurt Hennig? You said earlier, Kurt Hennig doesn't get over, and I know you have a soft spot for Mr. Perfect. I love, and I do too. That perfect ring music was perfect for him.
DiBiase's.
The laughter of DiBiase.
The laugh alone. I mean, and you know, and to go back to the Mountie one, the Mount. Think about it like this: Jock went from having the All-American Boys to the Mountie. So you know, so the music, Piper's was changed, which they should have. There were certain parts of Piper's music they should have never changed. Yeah. The original should have stayed for him. Why they toyed with it?
Hold on, before you say anything. Tur?
Hello.
Hold on. Can you hit the music? All right, hold on. Don't say anything. We have a special guest. We have a special guest, but of course, the special guest has to have an entrance.
Uh-oh. It's got to be Jacob's Corner, Jacob's Rant.
I didn't think I was needed anymore.
Wow.
What's up?
Will you please play the new video for Young McGovern?
Yes.
Thank you, dear.
Mm-hmm.
Watch this, Jacob.
Jacob's Corner ain't no ordinary space. He rants and raves with that fire in his face. Every word a racket, shaking up the place. The whole block hears him setting his pace.
All right, Jacob, go ahead.
Oh my God, that was fucking beautiful. I just want to say before I get into anything, this will probably be my only contribution to this show, as I'm not getting off until 9 o'clock my time here. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Jacob. And I just want to let y'all know that Graves is a petulant bitch, and I think that, you know, he should be privileged to be where he's at right now. The fact that he even got demoted to NXT is really, you know, saying something, because I think he should have been among the list of the previous releases. But, you know, the fact that I said in the comments, the fact that Joe Tester, whatever his last name, Joe Testicles is better than Corey Graves ever, then that tells you everything you need to know. But I just want to stop in short and sweet. I'm sorry I can't be there, but, you know, this pizza job is very, very busy apparently. But, yeah, no, love you guys. I will see y'all later. I got to hang up the phone now. But, yeah, this has been Jacob's Corner.
Jacob's Corner where the truth ignites. No holding back, no silent nights. His rage cuts through the darker lights. Every lance a battle, every word a fight.
That was fucking beautiful, wife.
Well,
it wouldn't be a show without Jacob. Like, just be honest.
You know, next week we got to bring it. We should both go to Domino's. Just get a Domino's pizza box empty and just hold it up for him.
got to be Chicago deep dish.
No, just the box. Just the box.
We're not eating pizza, having pizza boxes, but no pizza inside.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly.
We have to eat.
You know, no, that was good. But no, going back to what we're talking about, though, when you go back and look about the people, like I said, Perfect when he first came out, when he first came out in the early '80s, and he goes back to the AWA, then he comes back, and they get that music, and they have Heenan coming out with him. His music made him, because think about, he throw the towel, smack the gum, all where the music was playing.
Absolutely.
His vignettes played with the music. When he throws the football and he goes back, he goes and catches the football. The music's playing while he does it.
Well, and that's another guy, Joe Henning, who I really felt like he was put in a position that he was never going to be able to live up to. His son, Curtis Axel.
Well, if you're going to go like that, third generation wrestlers, Randy Orton.
He's the blueprint, to be honest with you.
And now don't get me wrong. Randy, unfortunately for him, from right, he got dishonorably discharged from the military. So he's obviously had some demons.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, and I think it took him till he came back from his last injury to realize what he had been given to him by somebody more superior than him.
I disagree. I think it took Undertaker taking him to the fucking learning shed.
No, because he admitted himself in the ring when he came back saying, hey, it's taken me 20 years to realize what I've gotten. I basically almost pissed my whole career away. He was only living off his father's. I think he was living off his father's name, except for the fact that he actually had ability. But up until he came back, and I mean, obviously maybe before COVID, a lot of people you talk to, Randy Orton was a prick because he had a chip on his shoulder, thinking he was entitled.
Well, and again, but he, say what you want, the guy going from being that guy who had the blue trunks with the yellow lettering, he used the overdrive as a finisher, him going to Evolution, him getting the title way too early, because my understanding that title run was supposed to be longer. He was just a prick.
Yeah.
It was after that, the Undertaker took a liking to him. And from my understanding, how Randy has the skulls all up and down his arms.
That's an homage to Taker.
Yeah, Taker paid for that.
And listen, like I say, don't get me wrong. He's never been a bad worker. I just don't always believe he was the best behind the scenes guy.
And I think after that trip to the learning shed with fucking Taker, put his foot in his ass, I think we saw a much better Orton. I think when we got the age of Orton character, ultimately going into the legacy character, him punting Vince in the head.
Well, I was going to say, if you look at it like this, your other second generation wrestlers, right, like a Kurt Hennig and a DiBiase, their fathers never worked for Vince. Bob Orton works for Vince.
DiBiase worked for Vince?
Not DiBiase Sr.
Oh, well, yeah, fair.
I'm saying DiBiase's father never worked for him. Larry the Axe Hennig never worked for Vince. No. I'm saying, so as far as, Rocky Johnson worked for Vince. I'm saying, as far as second generation talent, I'd put Hennig, even though Hennig never got the world championship in his heyday, I think Hennig would have taken Randy Orton and whipped him around just because
he would have stretched him. He would have stretched him. But I think.
But the thing is, too, is back in those days, guys like Hennig didn't need the world title to get over because he made the Intercontinental title almost bigger.
Yeah. And I say the same about Brett. But I think that Hennig was deserving of it.
Oh, yeah.
I think Piper was deserving of it. I think that Demons.
Piper, we can go back to Piper and say, hey, he never needed the title.
No.
Because
there's a difference between needing and deserving.
Oh, yeah, he deserved it? Absolutely. Needed it? Absolutely not. Taker, for the longest time, he didn't have a title. We go back to that conversation. We go back right back around Andre again. Andre as a babyface. Could he have used the title at some point? Maybe so.
Well, I think that you made this claim before, and I 100%. We don't always agree. You and I fucking butt heads a lot, but I think WrestleMania 3 is a bigger deal if Andre is the champion going in.
And basically passes the torch to Hogan.
Yes.
Just like Hogan tried to pass the torch to Ultimate Warrior.
Which was a fucking joke. He should have never been a warrior. And I also think that fucking Kerry Von Erich, there is no warrior if the Texas Tornado still had his leg and was still operating as he was when he was.
No, because I told you, Brutus the Barber Beefcake was going to take that title from Honky Tonk Man if he didn't get his face destroyed in the parasailing accident. He was primed to take the title. But they had to give a fill-in, and guess that's who the fill-in was. And
again, you had
the right man at the right time, at the right spot. For Warrior, everything fell into place extremely right. For
you go someone like Magnum TA, who I think that as much as I love Ric Flair and his career, not what he's become, I think we don't see as great a legacy for Ric Flair if Magnum TA never got in that car wreck.
Correct. Hey, we don't, like I told you, we don't know what the business would have been if Gino Hernandez doesn't die.
That's another one that just breaks my heart because he, again, a guy that was a MJF. I'm sorry, there it is, right there. It just hit me. Gino Hernandez was MJF before MJF was even a fucking thought in his daddy's fucking nutsack.
He was, if you want to put it that way, would you say Razor Ramon came across a lot of Gino Hernandez? Now, if I'm right, Scott Hall started his career right around the same time Gino Hernandez might have passed away.
Fair, but I think that look, this is my big issue with Razor Ramon. He was too cartoony.
No, I'm talking about like when he was in AWA and stuff like that.
As Scott Hall, the technician?
Yes.
Fuck. And again, he was bigger then.
Yep.
He had that big ass mustache. He was a fucking beast of a man. And what people don't realize is that it was Hennig that brought fucking Razor to WWE.
Remember, a lot of those guys were from Minnesota, so they all joined the AWA because they all hung out at the same spots and stuff like that. And that's Lady Luck fell on a lot of their shoulders.
Let me ask you this, and we're about to close it out, but it's going to be a weird question. What do you think Bockwinkel does if he was actually picked up by WWE?
Bockwinkel did work for WWE for a little bit.
No, but I'm saying as an in-ring performer, like as Nick Bockwinkel, the man with the suit, the guy that feuded with Gagne all those years. Do you think that character gets over?
With Hogan being there?
They had some killer matches in Minnesota, man. They real like him and Hogan at the birth of the Hulkamania.
The problem with that is though, you might have legitimate heat. You might have. Listen, you remember Colonel De Beers?
Yeah, well,
I'm just saying.
Like this.
Here's the thing: legitimate heat in the wrestling business today, you probably don't have it as much anymore. But legitimate heat back then, guys almost took legitimate heat more than taking that paycheck.
Well, I know, and I get that because remember, go back to WrestleMania fucking 14 where you have Steve Austin and Shawn, and Taker's back there to back with his fist tapes up, and if Shawn wasn't going to do business, Taker was going to do business for him. Go back to the Montreal Screwjob where you had fucking Vince dragging, or you had Taker dragging Vince over there. You're going to go talk to his ass. We're going to get this shit squared away. And Shawn Michaels over there in the corner crying because he's going to get his ass whooped.
Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. What goes on in the back should have stayed in the back. I don't care what goes on. Because you know what? In every business, behind the scenes, like perfect example, what Jacobs does right now. He works at that kind of a business. What goes on behind the counter, we don't want to know what goes on behind the counter. We care less.
Well, as long as he washes his hands after he's taking all the shit.
I'm just saying, as long as it doesn't affect what we see. What you do for your work or what I do for mine. You could care less what goes on behind the scenes as long as it doesn't affect what people see out in reality world. It's when the stuff that goes on behind the scenes starts affecting what you see in like the stuff that went on in AEW. And, you know, when you look at a lot of times stuff like that, as I've said it before, the problem with AEW, they don't have that one guy where people can walk around, and if that one guy's around, they know that's the enforcer. And if you do anything around that guy, he's going to come take your heads and smash them together and say, knock this shit off. We don't do that.
Again, the AEW is a perfect example of when you just say fuck kayfabe.
Yeah.
And
because
WWE is a perfect example of what they're trying to keep some of that mystery alive.
Because Tony Khan would rather cater to his internet friends, his internet writers, than to the real world people and say, you know what? I don't want anything to get leaked out. You know, and maybe that's the reason why he doesn't want long-term storylines there, because he knows it's going to get freaking leaked out. So he has to do all these short-term stuff so people don't leak it out.
At this point, you know, when we talk about AEW, I think what it's going to take is a hard fucking reset. It has become WCW of fucking 2000.
Thunder. You know, the sad part is that Collision and Dynamite right now have gotten to the point they're lower than Thunder. Than Thunder.
I would agree.
And that's sad. I think their ratings together,
they're gonna make. But here's the thing: is they're gonna make millions of dollars every week because of their TV rights deals. They're gonna, like, no matter how bad their attendance.
You're not making money though. If you're breaking even, you're not making money.
Yeah, but it's not something like they're not going out of business anytime soon.
Listen, Warner Brothers got to start looking at one part and say, "Hey, where is our return of investment?"
They're still TV wise. They're still drawing. That's the thing. So when it comes to the ticket
you're down 400,000 views a week.
Hear me out. When it comes to ticket sales, that's AEW's cost. That has nothing to do with Warner Brothers. When it comes to TV, Warner Brothers is still making their nut. And as long as they're making their nut, they don't give a shit. It's still their number 2 fucking show on television every week.
It's like, you know, when you watch some of these sports games and stuff like that, where you do it in the last the live event WWE did, you're now on Netflix on Monday Night Raw now. You know how long you got to go to the bathroom, because up in the right-hand corner, they put the counter down for how long the commercial is. It's 3 minutes long.
You and I had our skepticism about how Netflix is going to work with WWE. This is a second episode, and it has been fucking, no pun intended, dynamite. It has been fantastic.
Because, like I say, think about it. You know how long the commercial is going to last for. 3 minutes long. Hell, I can get up, I can go to the bathroom, grab another drink, be right back in time to come back on the air. Okay? Not a big deal.
I'm sure next week we'll go into more, but next week we have a special episode. We will be airing around the same time as Saturday night's main event.
So we'll be able to talk. We'll come on. We'll be talking about what happened in the first hour.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can be basically talking right through the finish.
I'm hoping that they have learned their lessons with all the fucking commercials, but time will tell. Again, the last, that was it, Bad Blood? Was not Bad Blood. What was it? The one, the live event before last time Saturday night main event.
Survivor Series.
So Survivor Series was kind of meh, hit and miss. Saturday night's main event was not all that great. Let's hope that this one, they've learned their lesson.
This one's going, remember this one. It's going into another major pay-per-view. So hopefully they can reverse that problem, because last time it was brutal on the eyes. And, you know, if you're talking about TV ratings, you want people to watch, listen to what people were saying. The commercials were too many of them. If you're going to do what you do for Netflix, put it up to, hey, it's going to have 3 minutes. Nobody will complain about that. The problem was nobody knew how long these commercials were going to be, and then some of them went like 6 minutes.
And I know that right after that, next week's episode, we are going into the Royal Rumble. Stay tuned, watch, and we will let you know how to enter in to win a copy of WWE 2K25 on either Xbox or PlayStation. It is our gift to you. Gerard does not play video games. You don't have to worry about him entering. I cannot enter, and Jacob is not allowed to enter no matter how many pizzas he makes. We're supposed to have the guys from Rant and Rave on. This is again for the fans. If you all, we'll let you know how to enter when you watch. Be here, and we will let you know. So, that being said, I am the Flying Jalapeno. That is the Inside Man. Jacob's still on.
I am not a crook.
We are the Marks. This is the Marks.
One last thing before we go, guys. And next Saturday night, we will have a new president in office. What, you got nothing? He gets inaugurated Monday.
I know. I was waiting for the wife to play some kind of cheer or boo or whatever.
Her timing is brutal.
I'm Dan. That's Gerard. That is Trips, the producer lady in the background. Say goodnight, Trips.
All of you Marks have been listening to the Marks Podcast on YouTube.
Calling all the grappling fans, from body slams to high flying plans. Join the chat, hear the scoops. Jump in quick, don't be a stoop. We're throwing down.